27 degrees on the 23rd day in the month of June 2026. It's a Tuesday morning. Welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Good morning and welcome. It is 24 degrees right here in the nation's capital. Welcome to the program. I am Kayla Megwa, and a lot of things to unpack today on the program and a few things to talk about. Ayo, we'll start off. Maybe we'll talk about this DSS and show arrest situation and what the details are, how it looked and the optics of it. A lot of people have been criticizing how it happened, but it is a case that has been going on for a while, and many people did suspect that this was going to happen. But I'm going to get your thoughts, Ayo, first of all, when you saw him being whisked away like that by the DSS in front of everyone, and it did seem a bit brutal. What were the thoughts that went through your head?
Well, first of all, we need to recognize that every one of us has one responsibility or the other. First of all, even the DSS officials themselves are Nigerians. And, just this morning, I was reading up on what they call power intelligence. And I realized that people need to understand something about power. It is more personal than positional. When you are no longer in power, your personal power should be able, when you are no longer in a position, your personal power should be able to carry the day. And that is why some people, when they leave a particular position, they are no longer worthy of anything. I think we should be very, very concerned about the optics that it gives us as a country. And particularly government agencies, should, at least, operate in some ways that people should understand exactly what is going on, in a way that will add more respect to the institution. For instance, I do not see, I do not hold an opinion here, but perhaps one of the things that should have been done is first to invite the gentleman. You are needed here, and if he doesn't obey or answer or respond to the call, then maybe those issues can be raised. I don't know whether such things, were done. And as you said, it's a matter that's been on for a while. Has this man, been trying to escape the law hitherto? We know that this fellow is not too shy of being arrested or being whisked away by government officials one way or the other. We have a system in place for stuff. So when we have to go about it in a way that questions human rights validation, one will wonder whether or not, we are not still dealing with the remnants of military dictatorship that we thought we escaped some 26, 27 years ago. Those are some of the thoughts in my head, but then maybe the perspective of the government agency that took this action was different from mine.
Well, just so we can situate that, and it has to do with his bail status. Self-recognition bail was granted in December of 2025, and it was revoked on June the 16th this year after he failed to appear for a defense continuation. So he was invited, didn't show up, and then this has now happened. Well, what we do know right now is that he has been remanded at Kogi Correctional Center pending motion for stay of the bail revocation. He did opt to self-represent himself after his legal team withdrew, citing humiliation, filed a motion for a judge recusal over bias, and that was dismissed as well on June the 22nd. So yes, that particular matter is ongoing, and we'll be seeing how it all unfolds. I think a dispensation of justice, and in watching our security agencies do their jobs, there's a way things can look that may take away from the genuine or the legitimate job that you are doing. It may have been justified what they did, but it didn't look good, and you see what's happened is because of how it looked. Now the Nigerian people are saying, oh, you can be tough on us. But when it's time to be tough on bandits and terrorists, suddenly you're not so tough, So these are the things that made it look a certain way, but we'll be watching to see how it all unfolds. But that's not the only thing that happened yesterday. We also saw the Diezani, Alison Madueke situation came up again. I think that's going to be, the second part of our conversation this morning, because we need to get some kind of understanding. We're seeing from CISLAC, I think, Transparency International and CISLAC, they're describing the verdict of the Southwark Crown Court in London, which acquitted the former Nigerian Minister of Petroleum Resources of all 6 bribery and conspiracy charges. It says a significant setback to international anti-corruption deterrence efforts. So we'll have them here on the program at some point today to explain to us how this has impacted in the way that they have described. But we'll start off our conversation this morning with Kogi State. Yes, we saw a video online and it made us wonder what is going on. Such a large amount of arms and ammunition that was confiscated by the Kogi State government. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll have the Kogi State government here to tell us exactly what's happened. So please stay with us. All right, joining us right now from Kogi State. Well, we saw his statement. It's a statement I'm holding in my hands right now, a long 3-page statement where he broke down exactly what has happened. So yes, we have gone through it, but want to hear from him directly. Joining us right now, Honorable Kingsley Femi Fanwo, who's the Commissioner for Information and Communications in Kogi State. Thank you so much, Mr. Fanwo, for being with us on the program.
Very much for having me, and I say good morning to viewers around the world.
So what has happened here? So I'm seeing a major security operation, you say, led to the interception of a cache of arms and ammunition believed to have been destined for criminal elements that you say were seeking to undermine the peace and security of Kogi State. So you believe this was directed at the Kogi State people. So what has happened here?
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that the main issue here is that Kachala Ibrahim Batijo was a big bandit leader. He was the kind of bandit leader that terrorized many parts of the country, the northeast, the north central, and his reign of terror was terminated here in Kogi State. So it was a big one. And when anything like this happens, you expect that they would fight back. They will want to launch a retaliatory attack on the state. We envisaged this, and we were already planning ahead of them. We were steps ahead of them. And that was why we spread our intelligence gathering dragnet to be able to gather a lot of intelligence. We knew the remnants. A lot of them were neutralized in that attack of June 10 at Ilukebunu. But we knew that the remnants would definitely want to regroup and then launch a retaliatory attack. Some of them are outside the state. Some of them have been trapped in Kogi forest. What they are thinking about right now is how to fight their way out of the forest and escape from Kogi State that is becoming too hot for them. So we traced an intel to Sokoto, Tambua local government area to be specific. They were trying to retool because they are short of arm and ammunition. A lot of their ammunition have been blocked or even seized. A lot of their motorcycles were abandoned when they succumbed to the superior firepower of both the military and the local security forces on June 10. And then we knew they were going to try to retool and get more arms and ammunition. So we moved steps ahead of them by gathering the intelligence. They were to move those arms from Sokoto to Kaba, where they will deliver to somebody that will take to them in the forest. And what we did was to do what we call a covert operation by infiltrating them with the support of the 12th Brigade of the Nigerian Army in Lokoja, our hybrid forces from the Office of the National Security Advisor, and our local security architecture. We were able to trail them. We knew where they were going to move. We infiltrated. I don't want to go into details. We infiltrated, and at the point of moving, 3 of the suspects that masterminded it were arrested. Already the vehicle had moved to Kogi State. So we also monitor the vehicle and ensure it was intercepted. The 3 people that have been arrested are giving useful information. So we want to thank the Sokoto state government. This has been the position of Mr. President, interstate collaboration. This is what interstate collaboration can achieve. Sokoto is not even a border state, but they are collaborating with us and we are working in synergy with them. And that is the reason this operation was quite successful. We have intercepted the vehicle and, you know, the vehicle has been impounded here. We have all the arms and ammunition here in Kogi State, and the investigations are continuing. But the most important thing is that we have been able to stop this from getting to the bandits.
That's a very interesting, you know, situation, and the second time really that we're hearing this sort of thing from Kogi State. How much arms and ammunition are we talking about here? How much have you confiscated?
Yeah, a lot of arms and ammunition are involved. I may not be able to give you, but I remember that we have AK-47, about 2 AK-47, and a lot of rounds of ammunition were also involved. I will still, in the course of this, give you details of the arms and ammunition. Magazines were involved, even military uniforms that they used to deceive people and then be able to wage their terrorism against the people. We have 2 AK-47, we have 67 rounds of 7.62 millimeters ammunition, we have 2 pistols, we have 12 rounds of pistol ammunition, and we have also a good number of military uniforms. When they wear these uniforms, they block the road. You would think they are military guys, and when you stop to respect the uniform they are wearing, they strike. Now, all of this will be very difficult in Kogi State.
That's a very, I mean, it's a lot of work, and I'm hearing the words that you're using. You infiltrated, you've got intelligence, you worked with the NSA, you worked with the Sokoto state government. Are there any people in captivity, just for our information, are there any people in captivity of bandits in Kogi State at all?
Oh, yes. We are not denying the fact that we have at least a few people that are in their custody. We work relentlessly to ensure that we are able to free these captives from them. Recently, you are aware, it was last week, a number of them were rescued. Some of the people that were even rescued last week are not from Kogi State. They were kidnapped from other states and brought to Kogi State, but they have been rescued. So we are working using the same intel to be able to rescue a good number of them. We are conscious of the fact that we have to be very tacit, we have to be very tactical in this rescue operation so that we will not put the lives of the captives at risk. But we are doing whatever we can do to ensure that we rescue them alive and unharmed.
Just for our information, Mr. Fanwo, how many people in your state are still in the hands of kidnappers?
We will not be able to give that figure straight for so many reasons, for security reasons, but we have a few of them that are still with them. Some of them were rescued last week. We are hopeful that in the coming days, we will be able to rescue even more.
Well, I understand for security reasons you don't, but you just, despite security reasons, you were able to tell us right now how you infiltrated the terrorist camps and your collaborations, and you know where you were able to give us that information. What's so wrong with giving us the number? I mean, and it's also for closure for the people of your state. Yes. Hold on a sec. It's also good for the people of your state to be able to hear that you are. We know how many people are in captivity, and this is what we are doing to get them out.
Definitely, we know how many people are in captivity. We are working to get them out. We are getting some out already. We will get all of them out, and they have confidence. The people of Kogi State, one thing with the people of Kogi State is that they have so much confidence in this administration when it comes to security. I gave you details of what we recovered because we've recovered them. That was the end game. That was the result.
Okay.
We will also give results when the few people that are with them are also rescued.
Let's talk about this collaboration, the model that is being, spoken of right now from Kogi State. And like I said, this is the second time. The last time, the president actually congratulated the state for the work you did in bringing down that dangerous terrorist. So let's talk about the model that you're using and what other state governors and, you know, security agencies in other states can learn from the model that you're using. What are you doing differently that you think they can adopt from you?
Thank you very much. Let me start by giving this commendation to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's doing a lot. He's doing a great job in terms of fighting this insecurity. He doesn't talk much about it, but he's working with a lot of subnationals, providing resources, financial muscle to fight this, providing military resources to be able to fight this, providing resources for intelligence gathering to be able to fight this. So I give this commendation to him. The governor doesn't even want to take these commendations. He gives it back to the president that has supported him so much to be able to achieve so much in terms of fighting insecurity. We also want to thank the National Security Advisor, who has worked very closely with the state, all the service chiefs, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, the Inspector General of Police, the DSS DG, a wonderful man that is doing a great job in terms of intelligence gathering. So what we do is to work in synergy with all of these federal agencies, while we also ensure that we strengthen our local security architecture. You know, you cannot just depend entirely on the federal security agencies. You need to strengthen your local security architectures. Mr. President has provided enough resources for states to be able to strengthen local security architectures. We have the Vigilante Service. Before now, it used to be just like an ad hoc organization. Now they have been incorporated, they have been integrated into the civil service. That has fired them up to be able to render security services to the people. We have the Hunters Group that understand the terrain and understand the topography of their areas. That helps a lot in providing the first line of defense. When you realized what happened in Iluke, the first shot was fired by our local security forces because they were able to resist them before the military now came to complement their efforts and stop what would have been a disaster, because they were already heading about 100 people into the forest before they were stopped and before a lot of them were neutralized. So strengthening this local security architecture has been a basic one. And the governor will always tell you that he got all of these lessons sitting down to listen to Mr. President, listen to the NSA, developing these security strategies to be able to work. That is the kinetic approach. But Kogi State is also fighting this with a lot of non-kinetic approach. Robert Martin, in his theory, in his trained theory of criminology in 1938, spoke about how environment, how deprivation in the society can lead to insecurity. Yeah. Now we rush to blame authorities for not providing security instantly without talking about our failings for over 50 years. What Robert Martin was talking about is that when you deprive people of the knowledge that when they work hard, they will succeed, when you deprive people of education, when you deprive people of jobs, then they will definitely take to crime. So what we need to do is also to depopulate the recruitment market into this banditry and terrorism. And what is the state government doing? We have what we call the education law in Kogi State. It is a crime if your child is of school age and is not in school. Okay. But we're not just forcing them to go to school. We are ensuring that education is free. The resources that Mr. President has freed up with his economic policies, with the removal of fuel subsidy, the resources are coming to the states. So the states also will make mess of this without deploying it to improve education, to improve healthcare, to create jobs. Right. And what Kogi State is doing is that they are not just saying you should take your child to school, we are providing free education. All right, Mr.
Famo, I do have to stop you there because I think my colleague in Lagos is ready for you right now. Ayo, go ahead.
Thank you, Kayla. Well, Mr. Famo, it's good to see you again, and one cannot deny the excellence of all that you're doing. But I'm looking at the statement that you put out and saying that the cache of arms that have now been intercepted were intended for what you call criminal elements in Kogi State. It begs the question whether or not Kogi State is aware that there is a wider network, a local cell, a regional trafficking network, or a national arms supply chain. What exactly do you think we're dealing with here, given the tone of your statement? Can you hear me, Mr. Fao?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you very clearly.
Okay. I hope you got my question.
Yeah, I got your question.
Please go ahead.
Yes, we are aware as a state that we have a very strong network that traffic arms and ammunition across the nation. We are aware of that. We are aware that the quantity and the type of arms and ammunition that these bandits and terrorists are using are highly sophisticated. We are aware of that. And that is the reason we as a state are doing everything humanly possible to block this network from coming into Kogi State. You know, Kogi is very strategic to the nation, and that is probably why Mr. President is putting a lot of pressure on the governor to deliver in terms of security. Because when you are able to secure Kogi State, it will affect 10 other states that are bordering the state, including the Federal Capital Territory. So what we are doing is to be able to disrupt this network from operating.
Okay.
Example of that.
Yeah, we'll come to more of that. I sincerely apologize for butting in. One of the things that you talked about in the statement, you also mentioned military uniforms that were whether seen on those guys or, you know, caught along with this stuff. Question we want to ask here now is whether it has been, you know, decided or discovered that the uniforms found were fake or they were counterfeit. I think you would agree, of course, that would make quite a statement. So has that been determined? Were the uniforms authentic military issue, or were they locally produced imitations?
Thank you very much. You know, it would be on the military authorities. They are part of this operation. It would be on them to be able to come out. I don't know. I cannot differentiate between an original military uniform and a fake one, except if it is very obvious that you and I will be able to detect whether it is fake or original. We are going to wait on the military authorities to be able to tell us that. What we know is that these bandits wear military uniforms, whether they are fake, whether they are original, we don't know. The people that came to Iluke, majority of them were in military uniforms. And that was why even the people that met them thought they were just military guys that were on patrol until they struck. So I think it's a very fundamental thing too, that we have to go into a lot of research in the criminology of Nigeria to see how we can stop that as quickly as possible, either to nip production of fake uniform in the bud, find out the people that are doing this and be able to deal with them.
You know, I remember, and I'm sure you do as well, as a media operator yourself, that, you know, in the days of late President Buhari, one of the first few things that I remember him saying in the first year of his administration was talking about the proliferation of small arms. And that was part of the time, as it was about that same time that governments began to talk about following the money, so to speak. So the question now is it possible for us anytime soon to determine where this ammunition are coming from? You say it's a significant ammunition, 2 rifles, you said 2 AK-47, some rounds here and there. It would suggest that perhaps there is some large cache somewhere. Have we been able to determine, or do you think we can determine where they are coming from, so we know whether or not it's part of some large criminal group or criminal activity or intention, or it's just one of those pocket-sized criminalities in the country?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayo. I want to say, as an authority, I am also a criminologist, apart from being a media person. I want to say with full authority that the diagnosis of the situation then might be correct. But I think the realities we are facing now have already overtaken that. We already have them in circulation. They are not even small arms. The kind of sophisticated weapons that they are using, I think it's an indictment on the authorities that allowed that to happen in the first place. Now that they are here, they are already here, so we should move away from that. Why we look at, the serious countries around the world no longer use wars to protect their borders. They are using technology. And I know that Nigeria is moving towards that under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have to stop these arms from coming in. But the ones that are already in the country, I think we need to devise a strategy of mopping them up. It is not impossible. We are already mopping up gradually. What we just need is to follow up those that are circulating this intel, gather reliable and actionable intel. Kogi State is already leading the way in this regard. And then, whenever we have this kind of a thing, we have the full support of Mr. President, we have the full support of the NSA, we have the full support of the service chiefs, we have the full support of the IG, we have the full support of the workaholic, the hardworking DGDSS to be able to track this down and be able to mop them up. So we need to do that across the 36 states of the Federation to be able to stop this movement, mop them up from circulation, block our borders from taking them in, not by erecting walls. Nations around the world have moved away from that. Technology can man the borders better than the walls. So these are some of the things that we need to do to be able to stop this proliferation. And if you understand what Kogi was before 2016, you will appreciate the good work that the former governor.
It's a lot that has happened in the country over the past. Since this democracy, this Fourth Republic began. Of course, you can also say that. Just one last one. Who are the suspects that have been caught? Because we don't have names, we don't have ages, we don't have affiliations, we don't have any criminal history about them. Are they traffickers? Are they couriers, financiers, insurgent collaborators? Are they members? Who exactly are they?
Thank you very much. We may not be able to mention names right here, but for instance, the people that were responsible for trafficking, the ones that we just intercepted to Kogi State, we have their names. They are already with security agencies. They are giving, like I said, they are giving very useful information. And, we will be able to use this to get to the main sponsors, the main traffickers, the big traffickers. One thing I want you to know about this insurgency that is happening in the country is that there are big people behind them. They are not just these ragtag bandits that you find in the forest. There are big people behind them, and when you get these people, they will be able to give you a lead to the big rocks that are behind
them. And Nigerians cannot wait any further for those people to come up, Mr. Fanwo, because we've been talking about that for a very long time. Governors have said exactly the same thing that you have said in the open, and we're still waiting for these people to not just be named and shamed, but to be brought to book, prosecuted, and all of this put an end to once and for all. But for now, we have to thank you very much for your time and hope that we'll be able to get these other extra information that you've given us, that you've said that the investigations will cover. Commissioner for Information and Communication in Kogi State, Honorable Kingsley Femi Fanwo. Thank you again for your time this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayo. But before I go, I hope you are aware that a lot of the big people around them are also going through prosecution under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think we should give him his flowers. Thank you very much.
When we return, there are a number of issues that Kayla already teased earlier, that I will be having a conversation with Sislak in a moment. Stay with us.
All right, so earlier we had told you that we are going to be having a conversation with Sislak and Transparency International. And one of the things that they're talking about is this this judgment from the Southwark Crown Court in London that has acquitted the former Nigerian Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diezani Alison Madueke, of all 6 bribery and conspiracy charges. There's a significant, they are saying that it is a significant step back, a setback rather, to international anti-corruption deterrence efforts. Now, since that verdict was given, she has granted interviews to at least the BBC, you know, talking about how this has affected her reputation and, you know, smeared her character. But just so we can give you an idea of what she's been saying, here's this clip that we got from the BBC right after that judgment was given in London.
To enter this sort of position as a petroleum minister and as head of OPEC in a very misogynistic society, patriarchal if you call it that, you know, no woman had ever got to have this sort of incredulous accusations brought upon one was a complete breakdown of my reputation, integrity, but also all the years of hard work to get to that position in the first place. It's had a many-faceted effect. It's been very painful, very traumatic, but also, I suppose, when your freedom, essential freedom or basic freedom is taken away from you, no matter how gracefully you appear to handle it, it has a very deep impact upon you psychologically. The things that I had tried to put in place in terms of pushing back corruption and fighting corruption in the oil sector, which had not gone down well with many of the cabals in the sector at all. I think that being such a low-hanging fruit in terms of the opposition, the accusations they were throwing at me throughout that period, I would have wished they had taken a step back and looked with a little more depth, I think, at the truth of the situation on ground.
Right, so that's just a bit of that interview. I understand that the full one will be out soon. I want to watch it. I want to hear her, hear what she has to say. But you know, since this case happened, we've had multiple people come on this program and say to us, "Oh, well, that's all nice. However, you do have to come back to Nigeria." We've heard people shouting, "Come back home and face some of the charges that we have here." For CISLAC and Transparency International, they're saying that the verdict of that court in London it underscores rather the challenges that are associated with securing criminal convictions against politically exposed persons based largely on circumstantial lifestyle and evidence. And they said the prosecution was unable to establish beyond reasonable doubt that the benefits allegedly received by the former minister, including luxury properties, private jet travel, and high-end shopping expenses, were directly linked to abuse of public office. But let's hear from CISLAC, joining us right now via Zoom, and I think he's abroad, Mr. Awal Ibrahim Musa Rafsanjani, the Executive Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, and Transparency International Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mr. Rafsanjani, for being with us. He joins us from Washington, D.C.
Yes. Thank you very much. And
it's good to have you on the program. I wanted to find out, first of all, what are you doing in Washington, D.C.? A lot of Nigerians seem to be in D.C. at this time. Is there something going on?
Okay, well, the American government invited me to participate in the what they call International Visitor Program Leadership, and also to coincide with the anniversary of American, government celebration of the 250 democracy. Okay. So that is why I'm in Washington, D.C., and also I'll be going to other states of the U.S. In carrying out this International Visitor Leadership Program.
Okay, so let's talk about your grouse with this judgment. What's wrong with it? If it's a judicial system, if they didn't find her guilty, they didn't find her guilty. That doesn't mean that she's cleared of all charges, but there are other things that she has to deal with here in Nigeria. But what's your grouse with this particular judgment?
I think first and foremost, we are not in contention with any well-established local, international jurisdiction. The court has the right to decide and take position, but that will not take away all the well-established allegation that has leveled against her. And then also for us, this will not simply take away the whole, civil and criminal cases associated with this matter in Nigeria. And this also further shows that we need to do a lot to strengthen our investigation in Nigeria. The anti-corruption agencies and government must make sure that they carry out thorough investigation on any case. Secondly, it also shows us that we cannot rely totally on foreign jurisdiction. If you remember, this case is taken up by some other people because of the corruption in Nigerian judicial system, where public officials who have the means, even if the anti-corruption make all their efforts to take them there, the system will simply exonerate them like we have seen in the past. So this is a case that was not even taken by Nigerian government. It was taken by an interest group in the UK to challenge what they consider as corruption. And the courts, based on the information those international partners of Nigeria, or rather international groups, based on that available information they have, they pursue this. What if it was Nigerian government that have established this case with all honesty, without bringing in politics, without also doing shady work? They would have been able to brought in more evidence, more concrete information that will probably lead to a better judgment in Nigeria, because Nigerians sadly are getting maybe they are losing confidence on our Nigerian judiciary, that they usually exonerate people who are associated with corruption. So somebody on his own went to England to pursue this matter,
Yes.
which for me in the first place is even a slap on the Nigeria, that it is another group in another country that is even pursuing this case.
Yeah.
This is
Mr.
really
Rafsanjani, sorry not to cut you, but we do have to manage our time a little bit. The things that she's saying, did you hear part of that interview that she granted to the BBC, where she's basically describing everything that's happened as a witch hunt that has affected her so adversely? Do you have any kind of response to what she has said? Is there any kind of credibility to what she has accused her accusers of doing, which is to bring down her reputation because she tried to, fight corruption and make sure that we clear up this petroleum ministry that was so opaque? Is there any response you have to that allegation she's making?
Well, in all honesty, the Honorable Minister knows that she was not fighting corruption in Nigeria. And in fact, as a matter of fact, during her time, she knows that there are a lot of wrong things that have been that was going on. So I then think, in all honesty, she was interested in putting a system that is transparent. She was interested in also ensuring that perhaps she blocked the leakages. If there was, we would be able to know, because we have been on the field. We have been working during her time. We're very active trying to encourage government to ensure transparency and accountability in the oil and gas sector. And that has not actually been the case. But, she will do necessary, she will take necessary steps to ensure that her reputation, according to her, is protected, and that now this verdict in London has given her that kind of confidence. But I don't think that will not take away from further investigation, especially those other people who were associated with this fraud. There are other Nigerians, there are other companies involved in this matter. So if Nigeria is serious about fighting corruption and about fighting this case, they should be able to, go further and pursue vigorously the remaining cases and the remaining people that were involved in this case. Her appointment does not mean that all these cases, all these persons involved in this case are completely free. No, I think Nigerian government should further pursue this, ensure that they bring credible evidence to encourage, judiciary to take necessary action. Otherwise, this will be a laughing stock. But I also want to salute the courage of even the anti-corruption agencies who pursue this. What we are lacking in Nigeria is the political, will.
Yeah.
And of course, if you have the political will in the first place, somebody will not even come from another country to pursue your own matter.
Okay.
I think this is a slap on our system.
All right, Mr. Rafsanjani, and I did see that in your statement, the long-standing, you said it shows the long-standing weaknesses in Nigeria's anti-corruption architecture and the inability of relevant agencies to pursue and the judiciary to effectively prosecute high-profile corruption cases. But my colleague in Lagos has a few questions for you. Go ahead, Ayo.
Thank you, Kayla. Mr. Rafsanjani, it's good to see you again. A question that a number of people might ask, I mean, when you say that we need to strengthen accountability infrastructure, perhaps we want to ask exactly what is missing. We have secured locally some significant convictions over time. Former Governor Nyame, former member of the House of Reps, Farouk Lawan, and a host of other people like that. Even abroad, we've secured, Nigeria has been able to put some politically exposed persons as well behind bars. The former Delta governor is one of them, and a number of other people here and there. So exactly what is missing in terms of the accountability measures that you think are being escaped or making the prosecutorial processes vulnerable?
As you live in Nigeria and as you've been following trends of events in Nigeria, definitely we have challenges when it comes to issues of fighting corruption, when it comes to issues of blocking leakages, when it comes to issues of demanding for accountability, when it comes to issues of ensuring that public officials, they live according to the terms of reference that are being given to them. So definitely we have been having gaps, and we need to also ensure that those gaps are addressed to ensure that people did not use their position to perpetuate the kind of thing that we have seen. Public officials in Nigeria need to do a lot to make sure that they are not abusing the positions that they are given, because they are actually holding those positions on trust. And if they continue to do what we are seeing, it will really be a big, disaster.
Pardon me, Mr. Rafsanjani. Perhaps, we need a bit more clarity. Are you talking about the laws? Are you talking about the processes of them getting into, office? Are you talking about the credibility they bring in, the code of conduct, compliance, and all those things? Are you talking about whether we have laws that are being breached and no one is holding them to account? What exactly are these processes that need to be tightened?
There are both, my brother. We have a public procurement law in Nigeria. Some public officials, they don't respect that law. We have all sort of code of conduct as a public official that you are supposed to comply with. Many Nigerians, they don't comply with it. In fact, even declaring your asset is a problem in Nigeria. So how do we even measure what you actually have? Some people, they do anticipatory declaration. They probably have $1 million. They will tell you that they have $200 million because the means of verification is not there. The code of conduct is not empowered financially to be able to have the resources to investigate the claim of public officials. So people make all sorts of declaration without being challenged or being verified because of the system that is not allowing some of these institutions to work. Secondly, the anti-corruption agencies, many of them, they are also doing their best, putting their life at risk, only for them, to discover that the presidential or the government can simply either interfere directly or undermine the whole thing by making sure that the people that are there, if they come to their party, the whole thing is frustrated. As I speak to you today, people who have been under severe investigation and prosecution, they have been given tickets to contest election in this country. Who will take us serious if people who are under prosecution are now given tickets to continue with what they were accused of before? Nobody is going to take us serious. So I think, we need to strengthen the system. We need to make sure that we demand accountability from any public official. The National Assembly that is supposed to carry out effective oversight in the first place, sometimes they don't seem to be doing that, because they think that doing that maybe may either undermine their own personal interest, or maybe by doing that, they will probably offend the person that is in charge. So we need to, strengthen the system. We need to make sure that all the laws that we have guiding public officials are strengthened and implemented. Secondly, the judiciary. The judiciary need to work up to do the needful to restore confidence on Nigerians and even the international community. Because if the judiciary will continue to, not take more proactive, action on some of these well-established cases, the impunity is going to continue to happen. Right now, the judiciary in Nigeria need to rise up to do a lot to restore its own dignity and integrity in Nigeria, because many Nigerians appears to be giving up on our judiciary. I think this is not good for our country.
Yeah.
We need to
there's also an angle. My apologies. There's also an angle that a number of people have spoken to over time. For instance, Kayla referenced the comments of the former minister earlier, and she can't wait to listen to everything that she has to say. Well, pretty much saying, according to her, it was mostly witch hunts because of all of the things that she was putting in place to make sure that corruption is limited, blockades are created, loopholes are blocked and all of that. We have also had a case of former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, who also said that, look, it's just because I was doing some things that was not making some people who were enjoying, who were exploiting the loopholes, right? And that is the reason that she was, all kinds of things were cooked up, even though they were, they had always been there and all of that. So that's one of the things that may begin to put some people who have genuine interest of being of doing good for the country, not being even wanting to come in. We have also heard, I'm sure you would be aware as well, of former Minister of Finance, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who said repeatedly that she was also threatened. And so it would look like those who want to put their, throw in their weight in on the nation to help build all the things that you have said, some of them are not going to be allowed simply because there are, I don't know, forces that don't want those things to happen because they're enjoying from it. How do we block those as well from inhibiting the progress that must be compelled, particularly within the civil service?
So I think these are very simple issues. First and foremost, government must not do political trial. Government must establish with concrete evidence and also to prove that the person they have actually accused, they have sufficient evidence to prove that that person had committed that, atrocity or that committed that offenses. If you don't have that concrete evidences, then it will be unfair to level that kind of person or to drag that person in this kind of situation. So it is an indictment, it will be an indictment to the government that there was no any well-established evidence of corruption, and then you call somebody corrupt person. But I think that is where you have all sorts of processes that are supposed to follow to ensure the innocence of the person. That's one. Number two, if you are given responsibility and you discover that you cannot perform according to the law that you are supposed to protect or that you are supposed to pursue, the honor is that you should just resign. You don't need to remain there to compromise or to get you involved in the corruption. Then later you now say that you have tried to change it, you do not change, when in actual sense you also participated, you also benefited in a way about the bad system. So the only way, I think, that you can show that you don't want to be part of this system, if the system cannot get, repaired or cannot, pursue the law of the land, you just simply resign and expose it. Because if you stay there and you do not expose it, then that's a problem. For example, in the case of the former Minister of Petroleum, when she was there, if there were some corruption cases she saw and she has cried out, she has also used her position to ensure that she pursues policies and programs that will block it, then I think Nigerians can justify, or rather she can justify the claim that she was actually being, withheld or being, stopped from pursuing what will help in terms of the reforms. Remember, that was the time that we were all making effort to ensure that we even have petroleum industry law in this country. Okay, that didn't also happen because of the corruption in the sector. Despite us having EITI, which we struggle to make sure that we sanitize the the petroleum sector and even the solid mineral, we pursued that as civil society. Government was really not that much interested to pursue the insurance of the implementation of the Naiti law and other relevant law that we have. So I think for me the only way to justify or to convince Nigerians that you have done your best was to have raised those issues and to also, show your disapproval of it, not to participate on it. So now all the asset that was taken, remember, I, was interviewed by even Al Jazeera in 2016 thereabout, where dollars were actually recovered from her and jewelries that were recovered from her house. And, clearly this was not her own personal thing before she became the minister. So we cannot run away from all those some of evidences.
I mean, Mr. Rafsanjani, we are totally out of time, but just 30 seconds. Will you be pushing for her to return to Nigeria to face these charges that she has here in the country?
Encourage her, if she believes that she is innocent, I will encourage her to come back to Nigeria and let Nigeria also be honest and sincere. Okay. Let the system also be fair to everybody, not political witch-hunt, unless the anti-corruption agencies come up with the concrete evidence beyond reasonable doubt that she was actually accused of that and that she was really, involved in those allegations. And even the asset that was collected from her, if it is true, they should also give her back if that is the case. Okay. Otherwise, a lot of dollars, a lot of juries have been collected from her.
Indeed, I mean, there's a lot that's been going on, but we do have to thank you so much, Mr. Awal Ibrahim Musa Rafsanjani, the Executive Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, and Transparency International Nigeria. Thanks again for your insights this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's all the time that we have on the program. Thank you all so much for letting us be a part of your morning. I'm Kayla Megwa. Have a great day ahead.
And I'm Ayo Makine. Business Morning is on the hour.